You do not know what you do not know until you know it. This may seem like a twist on words, but it is truly at the heart of the issue when you're dealing with a loved one who has an addiction: not knowing. There are many factors that play into substance abuse, including but not limited to biological, physiological, psychological, environmental, and emotional. Hi, my name is Bernie Tiger from Tiger Resilience. We are a service program that offers addiction solutions for reaching human potential. Our primary focus in our program is to assist families and their loved ones who are struggling with an addiction. Family relationships and friendships can be hard during the best of times. If one of those members of that relationship has an addiction, it can be extremely difficult and may even seem impossible to deal with. The problems that come along with a loved one who is struggling with an addiction can be nerve-wracking, explosive, and even terrifying. You are looking for answers because you want to learn how to help your loved one who is struggling with an addiction. You may have concerns about their behaviors at home, their choice of friends, being withdrawn or negative communication with you and others, or you may be facing frightening problems that have the potential to negatively affect your entire family. Although every addiction has specific attributes, such as alcohol versus opioids, versus stimulants, and so on, some characteristics are universal when it comes to a loved one's behavior in the throes of addiction. Let's take a look at each one. Inability to stop. The most common characteristic of a substance use disorder is being unable to stop. Sometimes people say they can stop if they want to, but they are unable to. A person may try to stop and even be successful for a short period of time, only to find themselves unable to maintain that drug-free lifestyle. Some people truly do want to stop using, but the cravings and withdrawal symptoms they have when they try to do so can be far too intense. They continue to use with negative consequences. Another indicator of addictive behavior is the continued use of the substance even when they recognize that continuing that use will lead to high risks and negative outcomes. For example, they may recognize that they are facing some financial turmoil, relationship problems, health complications, and possibly even legal issues, but they are unable to stop using. They are preoccupied with the substance use. A person with an addiction recognizes that they have other responsibilities, but they are unable to focus on anything but the use of these substances. This is because the brain has become so dependent on the substance that it seeks it out on a consistent basis. Often to family, it looks like a family no longer matters because all that person is doing is seeking out the drug for continued use. Changes in behavior. A person who uses drugs or alcohol on a consistent basis is likely to exhibit some behavioral changes, such as in their personality and habits. They may no longer want to engage in activities that they once did with families or friends. They may no longer socialize at all or may have other friends now that they are using. They are no longer interested in the things that once brought them joy. Increasing use of substances. Many substances, such as opioids, cocaine, benzodiazepines, and alcohol, can lead to tolerance. That means that the person using them will become so used to them that they no longer feel the high that they are seeking. This can lead to the need for more use of that specific substance on an increasing basis. This may get to the point where they are using so much that they are at risk of an overdose. Experiencing withdrawal symptoms. A person with an addiction and dependence may be unable to stop using due to the onset of withdrawal symptoms. This may be evident in the onset of muscle and bone pain, headaches, inability to sleep, diarrhea, or other physical symptoms of being ill. This is also the body's way of trying to get that person to start using those substances again. The cravings are also likely to be so strong it is hard or almost impossible to stop. Gaining knowledge about your loved one's very specific addiction, whether it's alcohol or opioid or a depressant, is absolutely essential for you because having that information will allow you the opportunity to make informed decisions going forward. Let's talk about addiction, also known as substance use disorder, or SUD for short. This is a chronic disorder of the brain that can happen to anyone. Severe substance use disorder happens when the addiction becomes so uncontrollable as a habit that it hurts your day-to-day life, showing up as a struggle at work, school, conflicts with relationships, legal or money problems. One important and fundamental point to understand is that your loved one's addiction is no longer a choice, as there is now a physiological and psychological component to this. Let's consider this idea. Imagine that you are swimming across the pool, but you really struggle with swimming. You're doing kind of some splashing and you're getting through, but it is a struggle. And you finally get to the edge. Once you get to the edge, you're holding on. The first thing you want to do is just to get out, and you work your way to try and get out of that pool. Now, just imagine, as you're trying to get out, somebody comes over and pushes your head under the water. What would you do? How would you react? What would your response be? The fact is, like myself, we would do anything it would take to get back to the surface for air. This is a basic fight or flight response from our body system, and someone struggling with an addiction is going through an identical process with the same response. The truth is that no matter how long that addiction has been going on, every day your loved one is involved in addiction, they are in uncharted and challenging waters as they continue their substance use. Many families struggle to understand because they still think that their loved one's addiction is a choice. Now, that might have been true in the beginning stages where they did make a choice to use that substance initially. But families still think that this choice remains, and that failure to make a change in their life is usually an issue with a character defect. Sometimes it's that they think they don't care anymore. Maybe they just don't love me anymore. And many of these other statements. And in my 25 years experience working in this field with addiction and mental health, I continue to hear these same things over and over again. As you understand, the truth is that your loved one is not doing this because they're having any fun anymore when they cross over the line to addiction. This is a life or death, fight or flight moment in their lives, and they will do whatever it takes to continue on that substance use. Again, use the metaphor of having your head held underwater. And how would you respond? I know how I would respond, and I know that I would do whatever it took to get back up to the surface to get air in my lungs. Your loved one will do anything to continue their addiction because if they do not, the physical, psychological, and emotional pain attached to not using will be unbearable to them. Once again, just as having your head held underwater would be for you. So let's recap the main points here. We really don't know what we don't know until we understand it or learn about it. Family relationships are hard even during the best of times, and addiction just makes it that much more challenging. We're always looking for answers because we don't understand why our loved ones' behaviors are changing as they are. Every addiction has similarities as well as uniquenesses, and some of those similarities are their inability to stop. They are continuing to use, even with negative consequences. There's a preoccupation with that use. They change their behaviors, their increased use of substances, and experiencing withdrawals. Gaining knowledge is the most important and crucial thing for you going forward so that you can make informed decisions. Addiction is a brain disorder, and it can happen to anyone. Addiction started out as a choice prior to the addiction, but when they crossed over, this is no longer a choice. Addiction is a biological and physiological response to a need to continue to use substances. Many families do struggle to understand this concept as they still think it is a moral failing or a lack of love or a lack of compassion or a lack of caring. And that when a person crosses over into addiction, there is a physical, mental, and emotional element that plays into their behaviors and their responses. Having this knowledge is essential and it is powerful because you can now be more proactive now that you can comprehend the gravity of your addicted loved one's challenges. I've been asked many times, why do I focus this program on families and focusing on helping them first and foremost before the loved one who is dealing with an addiction? And that answer is simple. I know addiction firsthand growing up. I also understand the devastations from it. But I have also seen in my 25 plus years working in this field of behavioral health and substance use that when you help a family to become one and to thrive and not just survive, this will help the individual struggling with the addiction not only recover, but also thrive. And my experience in these many years has shown, take care of the family, you take care of the loved one struggling with the addiction. And there are so many programs that focus solely on the individual with the substance use, and very few that work with the family. The next videos following in these series will continue to build upon the foundation that we're laying here with this information. We'll continue to give you information about the problem and the solutions. I'd like to thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to review this content. And I would only ask that if you found value in this, please consider subscribing to our channel, or at least liking this video so that we can get more families to be able to view this content and to help them and their loved ones. If you'd like to learn more about our program, please see the description below, and you can follow that link where you can find more information about Dr. Jamie Redwing and I. Once again, thank you for stopping by here at Tiger Resilience, where we offer addiction solutions so that you and your loved one can reach your human potential.